All right, so you are welcome again to day 3. All right, and we're here with our guest already. Our speaker is already here. Let's be sure that our Facebook community can get to see us. Okay, awesome. I think they can now see us now. Welcome everybody to the TIP annual conference. This is day 3. The conference has left a lot of people crying in the backstage for me, with plenty and plenty of requests for the TIP Academy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for following the TIP annual conference. If you haven't been here in the past 2 days, trust me, you need to go and catch up. Again, this conference is streaming live on our YouTube channel and also on our Facebook group. But replays are not available on our Facebook group. You can only do replays on our YouTube channel. So if you're just joining us, you can do your replays right on our YouTube channel after this session. But before we go, we already have our speaker here, and I'm going to be doing an introduction of who our speaker is. You know, earlier before now, I had said that we are bringing you results. Yes, so when I say that, we mean it. We are only bringing you results. We're not just coming to tell you Google story. No way. But coming to tell you real life scenarios of real life people that have lived these things that we're talking about. We're not printing on Google and telling you this is what they said. No, practical examples. Auntie Mute, like we call her. Auntie Mute is actually someone that I know. Yeah, she lives very close to me, not so far. I can just jump right into her home without batting an eyelid. Yeah. And you saw my interview the other day on transformational parenting on TV. Auntie Mute is the host of that event. She actually hosts the transformational event of that TV. So she's a highly motivated, result-oriented, well-accomplished media practitioner with proven results. I told you, we're not coming to give you textbook, mantra. It's results we have brought to you. And hands-on experience as a media producer and director and interactive communicator. She's an actress, she's a political strategist, and she's also an administrator. Wait for it, that's not why she's here. She's here because she's a certified youth trainer. She's a certified parenting and family value coach. And with the John Maxwell, she's also a John Maxwell leadership coach. All right? She's the convener of the Transformational Parenting Network, the Transformational Parenting Radio and television shows, and the Transformational Parenting Academy. And then it's a leadership training for boys and girls. Now, one of the most interesting things about the woman that is going to be speaking to you right now, when I say she has results, you don't understand. You know, we've been preaching connection, shouting. We are not saying connection in the textbook. This woman has 3 children. Sharon is 23. If you meet her daughter, Sharon, then you will understand when we say someone who has lived through her results. It's no joke. Sharon is studying medicine abroad, and it's as if Sharon lives here. Funny enough, their interaction is magical. Something that you can't get anywhere. You can't get it on Google. I'm saying it again. So you are privileged to have Auntie Mute here. She also has a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old. So if you're looking for experience, skill, this is it right here. And you know the interesting thing, Auntie Mute just turned 50. And we're bringing you this gorgeous 50-year-old coach to come and talk to us about raising seeds of greatness. I won't forget to say that she was once my district minister It's one of the weaknesses in my church. So I'm not gonna forget to say that part. Welcome here, ma'am. I'm going to be leaving the studio for you, and then you will take it up from there. Thank you, and welcome to TIPNR conference again.
Thank you very much, Wendy. That was a very long one. Oh my God. I was just imagining, is that me she's talking about? Thank you so much, Wendy. God bless you for what you're doing at the Intentional Parenting Academy and the Intentional Parenting Conference. Thank you so much for yielding to the call to impact lives, to rescue families from the hands of darkness. That's what I would call it, because there's so much pervasiveness in our society, so much evil going on, and we just had to yield to that call, especially when we have seen the lights. And when I talk about seeing the lights, knowing what to do. And so that light I'll be sharing with everyone today. It's one thing to know, to read, to study. It's another thing to practice. Practice is the process that you learn, unlearn, relearn. Okay, so I have been through that. I have been through the trials. I've been through putting into practice the things I've read. I've also had my own experience, because sometimes these experiences are not in books. So, and I'm sure most of our teachers have also taught us that children differ. So I've had the opportunity to raise a boy, to raise a girl, and to raise them from adolescence, from childhood to adolescent, from adolescent to a young adult. So I think at least very soon I will qualify to calling people for Ashwebi and the marriage. All right. So, but that's a prayer of every parent, to grow, to raise children and nurture them to greatness. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, nurturing the seeds of greatness. I will start with a quote by John Maxwell. He said, "A seed makes itself, but it needs help." A seed makes itself. You don't make a seed, it makes itself, but that seed needs help. Sometimes it needs a root. Sometimes it needs a gush of wind. Sometimes the seed needs a farm, and it needs a farmer. A seed needs a garden and a gardener. And you know what? That seed needs you. Because without you, the seed will be nothing. It will remain a hard, small, dry-looking, insignificant seed. But where you come in is to give that seed the potential that it needs to grow and fulfill its purpose. So a child is like a seed. Parenting is that nurturing that the seed needs to become a fruitful garden. It must be planted in a good soil. And it depends on where you want to plant your seed. But know that a seed planted by the rivers of water must bring forth good seeds and fruits in season and out of season. So for your seed to be healthy, to be green, to have branches, to have trees, that means for your child to fulfill all the different areas of life and how they have been created, to excel psychologically, physically, materially, financially, academically, emotionally. For that small, dry, insignificant seed to grow and prosper, it needs to be planted in the right soil. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be given the right environment for it to grow and for it to succeed. Parenting is that nurture that every seed needs to find fulfillment in life. So the seed cannot release its greatness until it is planted. The seed cannot grow in its beauty and bask in its glory except it is planted and cared for. It cannot become that essence that God has created it to be except it is nurtured. And we're talking about nurturing your seed with love and care. So you see, there's a lot of work if you need to nurture a seed to greatness. But the realization of your role as a parent in the life of that seed, in the life of that child, is so, so important for that child to fulfill its purpose and fulfillment in life. So the ground, the family, is the ground that seed must be planted. The family must have the right proportion, the right ground, the right soil for a child to grow. If any child must attain its potential in life, it starts from the home, it starts from the family, it starts from the gardener, it starts from you as a parent. You know, I always listen when Wendy will say, parenting is not about the child. Parenting is about you. And that is the truth. So I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that you and I need to do. But first of all, I want to ask this question. How many of us want to see our seed grow? How many of us want to see our seed great? Because it's a very important question. If you don't know your why, then the essence of what you're doing is defeated. You must know your why. Why am I even having a child in the first place? Why am I holding this seed in my hand? What do I want to do with the seed? If you don't know what it is, you will plant the seed wrongly. There are some seeds that must be by water. There are the seed that needs a particular kind of soil. If you don't know your why you're raising children, you will not be able to put the right seed or give your children the right proportion, the right ground, the right elements that they need to grow. So my question to you is, how many of us want to see our seed grow? That's number one. What kind of fruit or tree do you want from your seed? I'm sure there's some of us that are farmers here, but if you're not a farmer, you did a little bit of a break in school. There's a difference between the palm kernel tree, the iroko tree, the orange tree, the mango tree. There's a difference between these. So if you know this, it will also help you to know this seed that I'm holding. What kind of fruit do I want it to produce? What kind of tree do I want my seed to become? That will also determine how much you will care and nurture your seed. So my question to you, again, what kind of flower or shrub do you want your seed to become? Do you want your seed to become a parasite? Or you want your seed to become a beautiful flower? What kind of scent or smell should your seed exude? Heavy questions. I want you to write those questions down. And I want you to answer those questions by yourself. These are questions of my why. Why do I have this child? Why is this child given to me? Why do I have these seeds? I asked those questions while raising my children. I studied my seed. We're going to come to that. To know how this seed is. So I asked myself this question. Do I want my child to be great, or do I want my child to be small? Many of us have been parented from a place of hurt, from a place of pain, from a place of low self-esteem. So we don't even know what we want to give to our children. We don't even know how we want to bring them up. So we have misconception altogether about children, about raising children, or why they are here in this world. Some of us see our children as a result of hurt, as a result of pain. Maybe because you are not ready for it. Maybe because the circumstances with which you had your children, maybe it was out of love, maybe the love now was cold, or you loved this guy and you had your children, you had a child for him, and before you know, 1 year into the relationship, he abandoned you, and you look at the child as the reason why this man has abandoned you. That is why we have this conference, to begin to reprogram your mindset. So write it down. What kind of seed do I want to raise? How do I want my seed to grow? One, what kind of fruit or tree do I want from my seed? What flower or shrub do I want my seed to become? What scent or smell should my seed exude? Answer those questions. Write them down. It's not in a hurry. You need to think. So how do I nurture greatness from my child? How do I nurture the seed of greatness? How do I nurture my seed to become great? How do I help my seed? What should I do? Maybe they are not right now. Maybe they are little. Maybe they're in adolescent age. What should I do? Remember, I told you, you are the gardener. The family is the soil where this seed will be planted, nurtured, where it will grow. So, how do I go about it? Number one, you must be intentional. You must be intentional. Listen, having a sperm meets with an egg to produce a child does not make you a parent. It just makes you either a sperm donor or a carrier. You know, we have what we call surrogate mothers. So doing that does not make you a parent. What makes you a parent is being intentional, knowing that a life has been put in your hands, that God has given you the opportunity to raise a life. I always use this acronym. I say parent means you pay rent to your landlord because you're a caretaker. Oh yes, he just found you worthy to take care of the house. So you're a caretaker. So you must learn to pay rent to your landlord. That is what your job is. So it is now your responsibility as a caretaker to take care of that house. If a landlord comes and sees his house full with grasses, looking dirty, and are you a good caretaker? But when a landlord leaves a house for you as a caretaker to take care of, and he comes, the gutter is clean, the house is well maintained, there's peace among the tenants in the house. Oh my God, you will get the commendation. And if possible, landlord might even say, don't, it's okay, you have the house free of charge to take, they'll be proud of you. So it's so important that you are intentional. So the minute you get married, in fact, for me, before I ever got married, do you know that as little as how I want to look when I'm pregnant, I was very deliberate in asking God for it. I wanted a situation that I didn't want to start salivating. I didn't want to start doing all those things. I intentionally prayed that, said, God, I want to be so beautiful when I'm pregnant. And honestly, maybe from my prayer and my affirmation, those kind of children were attracted to me. So you see, the work does not start from when you are married. The work starts from as a young person who will dream of having a family tomorrow. You start deliberately telling yourself what you want. I have a vision. I didn't know how my children will look like, but I had a vision of how I want it to be. I didn't care whether it's a boy or a girl, but I know that whatever God gives to me is what I want. So I was very intentional. When I had my children, I was working. Now, for those of you who know Lagos a little bit, I was living in Surulere, but I was working in Alagbado. So you know the distance. That means I come home very late. But you know one thing I did? There was no day I'll get home. If the children have gone to bed, I go to their room. I started with my first daughter. I will go right there to her room where she's sleeping on the bed. I will lay by her and tell her the story of my day. She's sleeping, but I will tell her how I spent my day. How is she? I will laugh as if she's awake and we are gisting and I'm laughing. I will laugh at the point we need to laugh. I'll finish telling her about her day, and I'll tell her that, look, I'll see you in the morning. And you remember, we're going to take our bath. So when I'm bathing you, you will give me the stories, okay? I'll kiss her and good night. She's sleeping. But do you know something about the subconscious? The subconscious is like a playing ground, an empty field. It is what you plant in it that will grow. So I knew the power of the subconscious. And when the minute I started having my children, right in the womb, I learned how to talk with them and interact with them. I told them when they were in the womb that I look forward to seeing them. I look forward to having them in my hands. I gist with them. If I go through stress, Lagos and distress, I will talk to them. Sorry, my darling, are you okay? I hope you're fine. These are the process of connection if you need to raise and nurture greatness in your child. You need to create that value for your child. No matter the circumstances with which you raise your child, do not see that child as a problem. Do not see that child as a mistake. Do not see that child as the reason for where you are. See every child as a gift from God and as a blessing. It will begin to come to you and work for you like that. The way you see your child, as a man thinketh, so it is, and so will everything work together for your good, including your children. Number 2 is self-awareness. Know thyself. Parents, know thyself. Who are you? If you don't know you, how will you know the seed that has been given to you? How would you be deliberate about wanting to know your seed if you do not know yourself? It starts with you. Know you. Know your temperament. Know your character traits. Know who you are. Know your makeup. Know you. And in the process of knowing you, you must develop the different parts of you. These 5 parts you must develop in your life in the process of your self-awareness. You must develop your relationship. You must develop your finances. You must be aware of how you behave towards money, how you behave towards other people, how you behave towards your health, how you behave when it comes to issue of spirituality, your faith, and how you behave towards the issues of your personal growth. Know thyself. Know you. You see, a lot of us don't know us. That is why when we see our children behaving somehow, we'll be wondering, where did this one get it from? Check deep within you. You will know that a tree does not fall, a fruit does not fall so far from its tree. So you need to know you. Very, very important. Another thing you need to know is the journey to self-discovery. That is what I called transform to transform. You must be transformed to transform somebody else. There's this adage that they always say, you cannot give what you don't have. So you as a parent must undertake this journey of self-discovery. Knowing you. You see, after you have that process of self-awareness, it's now a journey to walk with. Is it not about nurturing seed of greatness? Good. You make a great farmer and a wonderful gardener when you know so much about yourself, when you know so much about your capacity. That journey you take to research, to learn, to correct, helps you to apply when the time comes. I read books. Oh, how many of us remember this book, Every Woman? Before I got pregnant, I started reading that book. It was my Bible. Because I needed to know what I was carrying. I needed to know my responsibility. I needed to know what to do, kind of food to eat, how to rest. Before I got pregnant, immediately I got married, I started taking things like grounded carrots. As if I take this one now, my eye will be clear. The child I will born will be clear. I started taking things like things. I'll not tell you. I started taking things that will cleanse my womb. I stopped all this mineral, all this thing, because as I was reading, I read things that would tell me, if you want your fine child, you want this. I had to build the soil, the environment for the child to enter. Then when the child, when he come out, his body look fine and clean and neat and beautiful. Because I was intentional. I knew myself. I knew what to do. So the journey of self-discovery is that journey. Like those of you that are here, you are taking the journey of self-discovery, transforming yourself, transforming your mindset, healing your inside so that you'll be strong enough and well equipped to nurture the seeds of greatness. So when you have gone through that process of knowing what you want, of knowing yourself, of taking this journey to build the kind of person you want to raise, it's now time to know your seed. What kind of seed do you have in your hands? There are different kinds of seeds. A mango seed is different from an orange seed. But there's a way you can grow both of them, they will get to greatness. And there's also a way you will handle them. You'll be wondering, is that a mango? Or is that an orange? Is that a tree at all? Or is that a plant or flower? Is this for decoration? Or is it to provide value to people? I was talking to my son this morning, in fact, in our devotion this morning, because I talk a lot. I don't know how to beat. I don't have power to shout, but I can talk. Listen, I didn't just learn it today. Ask my senior daughter when you meet her. I didn't have a cane in my house. As far back as 20-something years, I never raised my children with cane. So when some of you talk about spare the rod and spoil the child, I don't know whether when you are weeding your garden, you go there and start flogging the plants that you're supposed to be nurturing. So time to know your seed. What kind of seed is in my hands? When you know your seed, then you know where to plant it. You know how much water to put in. You will know whether to put it under the direct sunshine or to keep it somewhere where the ray of sun will touch it. Know your seed. Know your child. You see the journey you went through to discover your temperament, your personality. Know your child. Know what's make up. How are they wired? Is my child like me? Or is it like my husband? Is it like my mother? Is it like my father? Or this child does not look like anyone in our generation at all? You will know that. So know your seed. Find out about your child. How do they respond to issues? How do they react to things? It's so important as a parent that you know your child. Many of us are so impatient. Children are children now. A child is a child now. Is it not to raise them? Did my parents raise me up? Did they bring me up? That was when today in this generation, we're talking about this generation Z, generation Y. So many we had to We had to find a name for this millennium because they are totally different from the way we were raised. They're totally different. In my time, who art thou to talk when my mom is talking? Hey, let me use my local. They never born that. That is my mom. But today we are raising children that are so, their IQ is so high, so sharp. These days, people are using fertilizer to grow because the soil where we have around us, some of them have gone through all form of degradation and erosion. So you need to have other things now to add to the soil. So if you want to plant something and you're going to plant it in the soil, thinking that things are the same way, even what do they call it? What they call it, environmental, all kinds of things have happened. So you can't use the same method, the same sanity that was in those days, if there was. It's not what we have today. So you need to know your child. How is it made up? And that means going to school, go to learn. The way you learn for yourself, then know your child. When you now know your child, how the child is made. See, I have 3. They're different. My son is quiet, but he's a strong-willed child. So I'm not deceived. At first, I was deceived by his quietness, he looks this. But as he's growing, I'm seeing the strong-willed child. And I started saying to myself, I see an element of me, my son. When I got married at first, my husband will say, I don't like this. I'll say, why? Yeah. My husband grew up with obey before complain. That was kind of how he grew up. But no matter how my mom tried to tame me, and this child that will ask why. And thank God that my father was the opposite. So my father will always encourage me to say why. My father does not believe in anything I say. So when my parents, because they say, you have to obey your parents because they say, and they come home and say, do this, they say, yes, ma'am. I say, you're not asking any question. No, because mommy said. I said, no, there's nothing because mommy said. I want to know your opinion. So when you know your children, you know the one that ask questions. You know the ones that want to take you for anything. Like the strong-willed child, the sensitive child, the obedient, and it's not obedient, but those are the ones that just agree to anything you say, they follow. So when you know them, when you know the ones that are very emotional, that words are important to them, when you know the 5 love languages of your children, then you know how to handle them and how to raise them based on the category with which they fall. So you don't use the technique in growing an Iroko tree that would take how many years for it to grow to raise another person. And because you sow your corn today and it's growing, and then you now plant the babu and you expect it to grow the same way, it doesn't happen. But do you know what? Some of them are slow learners. But when you know, you'll be patient enough to train them, to nurture them, because you know that this is the period of time it will take this child to nurture. All right? So know your seed and then know the needs of your seed. What will it require? What will it take? So this is where the amount of water, the amount of sunlight, is it a child that likes words? Then let me nurture this child with the words of my mouth. Note, every child likes affirmation. Every child loves affirmation. Every child loves a kind word. Now, some of them, those kind words might not be really what they want, but they love a kind word. Just like my son. You say some kind things, but go and check behind. He loves it. Tell him, my 50th birthday, I went for my photo shoot, and please, young man, pose for the picture now. He will just, bring his face. And the photographer was getting frustrated. I just kept quiet. I said, you know what, just for my sake, for your mother, 50. He said, what is it about 50? I said, I know you not understand what it is about 50. But you know what? I started speaking plenty grammar, and I said, just do this, just pose. Do you know when we went to collect the pictures, people said, is your son a model? He's just looking like a model. Look at the way he stands. Look at the way he smiles. They don't know the story behind that. But after prepping him, when he saw the pictures, oh my God. You know what he told his sister? He said, I had to fake that smile. But that is who he is. That is how he is. So I'm not go killing him. Because I've learned. I know how to handle the issues. I know where to come from. I know how much to let go and where to come in and correct things. Why my second daughter? That one is anything mommy says. So those are the types that if you like, don't even put manure. They will grow. Just nurture them a little bit. They will grow. The senior one, carry her put for desert. She will grow. The second one, put her for desert. You're your own. No. Because she doesn't have power for that ruggedness. So when you know your seed, you will know their needs, what they require to grow, and how you need to nurture them. So the hand you use for one is totally different from what you use for the other. If you don't know your seed and what it requires to grow, you will end up experimenting. And parenting is not the ground for experiment. You can't start experimenting with your child. Because if you don't know the right thing to mix, the right thing to add, the right thing to put, you will end up destroying their destiny. You end up killing your seed, and you end up helping to destroy the potential, weakening the potential and the potency of your child. So don't experiment because Wendy is bringing up her child this way. I have to bring my child that way. Wait, hold on. Does it apply to your child? Knowledge is to be acquired, and then you use your sense, your wisdom, your knowledge to apply. When you acquire, you learn where to apply. You don't put the same skills, the same thing that works for A in B. So that's why the process I've stated, you need to go through that process. So principles are the same. Application differ. Principle of growing a seed is put it on the ground. Put it in the ground. But how it is applied, totally different. So when we teach principles here, you need to understand the seed. You need to understand the child to be able to know which principle out of the 10 points we're giving you or you've learned from this conference, how many should I apply to this, which goes to this. If you go and mix everything together, you will destroy your seed. So when you know your seed, when you know what is required, the next thing is to plant and then turn your seed. Turn your seed. Use the right words. Use words. Use prayer. Use love. Use care. Use gifts. Depending on the temper, the language of that child, tend for it. Protect your seed. Let me tell you something. Do you know that there are some seed that for it to grow to its fullness, you need to change environment? I learned that about the tomatoes. My mom had a little garden at home. So I noticed that the tomatoes, she planted them in clusters in a particular place. They were all there. After some time, she had to take them one after the other and started planting them at different points. So I asked why. She said that at that cluster there is, okay, let's see how many will come up. But for them to to grow to its fullness and produce good fruit, you need to separate them. You need to change them, change their environment. That is how with some children. And that's what happened with my second child. She started a Christian school, one of the schools, and after GS3, junior secondary school, grade 5, 6, 7, I realized that this girl was not doing well. And it bothered me. But at a point, I was like, children, that's the way they are. When they don't like somewhere, that's how they behave. And I said to myself, but other children were there. Now the other children are in that school. Are they not doing well? In the process of prayer one day, now that's one thing I do. I'll come there. I'll tell you. I was praying and I needed help. Listen, this child was given to me by God. I always learn how to go back. That's one thing you need to do in the process of nurturing your child. Always go back to the creator of the seed. How do I do this? I've tried everything I read in the books. They're not working. What do I do? So I went back to God and I was praying concerning this child. There's certain things. She's losing her confidence. She's not doing well in school. I know this child. She's a very intelligent child. What is going on? And part of the things I was instructed to do, in fact, 2 a.m., I opened my system. Spirit of God said, open your system. I'm a person of faith. So I always go do my processes. So I said, open your system. I researched 10 schools. And the next day I told her, okay, I'm going back to work, but this is money. This is the driver. I took my sister along. I said, go check these 10 schools. Anyone you want, let me know. That was how my daughter went. We picked one. This girl who was struggling from the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and becoming the head girl of that school. This school, 90% were mostly another tribe from the north and another religion. There were very few of them that was of Christian faith. She ended up becoming the chapel prefect. In her own time, they selected the boy. That school, the policy is you must have one Christian and one Muslim. The boy already that was picked was a Muslim, a Christian. So they cannot take another Christian. But you know what? The faculty, management, and everyone on the school said, if it is not Maero, we are not choosing any head girl. And that was how she came. I had to uproot her from where she was because that soil was not convenient to take her to where she would walk. Every seed has its own soil. You need to know that. If you must nurture a seed that will become great as a tree that will provide green leaves for everyone, that will become a shade for people to sit, that will add value to lives, that will become a resting place for you in your old age. Change the environment. Teach them what they need to become fullness in their lives. And finally, so that we can give room for question and answer, let me share with you some of the elements that you need to have to be able to bring them up. Number one, teach your children values. Teach them values. Because if you want your seed to grow, they are the right things you put. Every seed has its own manure. Every plant has its own proportion. But there are basic things that a plant must have to grow. The basic things you must do for your seed to become great. You must teach them values. Have this as family values in your house. Patience. Teach your children how to apologize by you learning to do it. I went for a conference last week, and one of the ladies asked me a question. Is it okay to apologize to our children? Must we apologize to our children, especially when we realize that we're wrong? Why would parents apologize to children? I said, what is good for the geese is good for the gander. They are human. just that they are little small human, you know. And it reminds me of a quote by Jack Ma. You know Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba. He said something. He said, "Help young people, help small guys, because small guys will be big. Young people will have the seed you bury in their minds, and when they grow, they will change the world positively or negatively." So they are small today. That does not mean that you will not teach them the right thing. He said, help young people, help small guys, because small guys will be big. If you want your child to grow to be big, help them to achieve the purpose, starting with you. So teach them patience, teach them forgiveness, teach them empathy, teach your children compassion, teach them to have consideration for others. When you teach them these little things you put in them, mix this manure, mix them, mix the chemicals, mix them, put it. So as you grow, as you nurture them, as you weed the irrelevant things from them, as you remove the parasites that come to eat and destroy your crops, you know, because children, their minds are young. I want to say that the child of a mind is like the yam stem or the ugu, where while they are growing, they want to go in different directions. Anywhere if they learn to, they want to just go that way. But it's not your responsibility to build the bed. You know, the ugu, when you plant that vegetable, pumpkin leaf, you build the bed so that when they grow, they can go around that structure that you have built for them. Then they can go up above the parasites on the ground, above the weeds that eat them to destroy them. And like the yam leaf, you have to put the wood there for them to go around so you can guide them. And then you know that when it goes up, you know that it is easier for the roots to be strong, firm, and big. It is you and I. It is our responsibility to do that. So build their curiosity. Let them be curious. Help them. Connect with them. And whatever you do, do in prayer. I want to leave you with this. If you do not have a garden in your house, I want you to go get a plant and get that a container or whatever it is. Go to any garden and ask them that you need a plant you want to nurture. Because you see, nature, the way God has created nature, you get from nature how you care for nature. So for those of us who understand, I always pray one prayer, that wherever my children are, let the elements of the heavens and the earth, of nature, walk in their field. So it is what you give that you get back. Go and get, that's your assignment, go get a plant that you want to nurture. It can be a tree, can be a flower, whatever it is. Bring it home. Plant it. But first of all, read about how to care for that plant. Begin to nurture it. Make sure the plant does not die. Nurture it. Give it care. That process, it will teach you about patience. It will teach you about connection. It will teach you about perseverance. It will teach you how to pray for your plants. Place of prayer, we have used prayer to grow a plant. Oh yes, the plants were dying, and my mom, she prayed that plant back to life. My dog was sick. The doctors gave everything. It wasn't working. We prayed. That is where I know the power of connection. You have to learn to connect with your seed. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone who have listened. I think we should take questions because we are how many minutes gone? I think it's time, if there are questions, for us to take questions. But know these things, that you must teach your children what you have learned for yourself. because you cannot nurture seeds of greatness if you do not have greatness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Auntie Mute. You know, before the session started, I told you that we're not bringing you Googled information. Now we're bringing you the real deal of people who have walked their talk. If you have ever worked with me or you ever been part of the TIP Academy, you will know that I don't teach you from Google. I walk, it is the talk that I have walked that I teach. We don't teach what we haven't done. Auntie Mute, thank you so much. Sharing, somebody said that this was like a moonlight talk, you know, where grandma is just dishing out words of wisdom and we're all sitting around. You know, I said that TIP is our own village. Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing all this to bear. We're going to be taking questions. While we're at it, I'm going to be doing some recap while the questions come on. And I like to do this recap a lot so that our speakers will also be hearing what we have been able to also pick from this session. Auntie Mute started by saying that a seed makes itself, but that a seed needs help. Very profound. Your child is a seed, and a seed must be planted in a good soil to grow and produce good fruit all year round. You know, the Bible says that the seed that is planted by the riverside, and she made it very profound. She said, where is the ground that your child is planted? So that seed, if it's not planted by the riverside, it means that it can't produce all through. So that means is that in season 1, it can produce, and in season 2, you might not see fruits. So there is a place of your seed being planted, you know, where it must be planted. I said, if you don't know why you are raising children, we won't be able to raise seeds to grow. You won't be able to raise seeds to grow. You must know why you're raising children. And she also said, you must value your children that because they are not the reason for the circumstances you find yourself. Very important. And she said something very profound about connection. You know, I told you that when you see the connection that Auntie Mute shares with her daughters, that's why I said that this is not Googleable. But there's something very interesting that she said. She said you must learn, you must read, you must acquire knowledge to parent, to raise seed of greatness. And she said beyond all that, you must also understand that this knowledge you're acquiring is not all there is, that you must always find how to go back to the Creator so that you will be able to also have direction. She said, I've never used a cane on my children. You don't use cutlass to cut off seeds that you're nurturing. That was very profound. You know, for the propagators of quote, spare the rod. In fact, it was like this is just it. You know, every speaker that have been coming on this conference have been touching that particular scripture and redefining it in different ways. Auntie Mute redefined it again. In fact, somebody said that the table of that spare the rod has been broken. We don't have any table again. We need to make a new one for us to continue. And she said, you must know your child. You don't use the same techniques used for growing an Iroko tree to grow a corn. She said, parenting is not a ground for experiment, because you will end up killing your seed if you experiment. It's like something I wrote in Connect to Correct at the beginning. I said, it's okay to experiment. We said that, oh, our parents winged it. But at what cost? You need to ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost for those experiments that you want to do? And she also said, principles of raising children are the same, but applications are different. Application is actually where wisdom comes in. And the Bible says wisdom is profitable to direct. She also said you must learn how to tend for your seed, protect your seed. He said every seed has its own soil. So you must know that sometimes a seed will need to change environment to actually grow well. It goes on and on and on. And the assignment for today, Auntie Mute says you will get from nature how you care for nature. So go get a plant today. Read about how to care for it. In fact, when she said it, I was like, yet we will tell parents to read about how to care for their children. They will say no. So there's even a how to care for the plant you're even going to get. So please read though, plant it, nurture it, and it will teach you. Auntie Mute, we have some questions here. Chineye said, please, how do I handle a strong-willed child who questions all things and is unwilling to accept my explanation you give, regardless of what you say?
Congratulations that you have a strong-willed child. Because
Honestly.
one thing about a strong-willed child, once they understand what you have taught them, it is not easy to persuade them. So you know that if someone comes to you and say your child did this, you said no, because that child will not deviate. When Bible says train up a child, it's talking about a strong-willed child. So I have one. My son is a strong-willed child. You have to learn how to calm down to their level. Calmly, you don't argue with a strong-willed child. Now, and you don't give directive to a strong-willed child. You negotiate with a strong-willed child. And how do you do it? Okay, I'll give you an example. I want my bathroom cleaned. I want him to take care of the dishes. And I want him to sweep, the example. So what I do is I lay before him the 3 things I want done. How you go about it is not the issue, because that's the mistake some of us make as parents. We want to tell them how they should do it. For a strong-willed child, they don't want to know. They say, okay, this is what you want me to do. Let me do it. So for a strong-willed child, what you need to do is understand the way he thinks. He likes to ask questions a lot. Go and get answers for a strong-willed child. A non-intelligent parent cannot raise a strong-willed child. So you need to learn and have answers. So when he's asking, patiently answer. He's asking, if he asks you why, give him the why. Not because I said. No, you see, when you do that, you are building their intelligence bank. Because at the end of the day, if you can convince that your child, he will run with that answer. He will produce after your kind, because you have helped to nurture him with the right information. So, Chineye, please always be patient to answer your child. You need a lot of patience with a strong-willed child. But guess what? That patience is like growing an iroko tree. It takes 5 years for a cocoa tree to begin to come up. Be patient. Be patient. But give him the right soil. When he asks you a question, answer correctly. Answer deliberately the kind of thing you want that child to have in his mind to grow up with. I am very deliberate in raising my strong-willed child. When he asks a question, I use the opportunity to nurture inside him the kind of seed I want him to become. I mean, this morning we had our own issue now, asking me why he took his bath in my bathroom. And I said, I saw your clothes on the floor. He said, my clothes on the floor because I use my clothes to clean. I said, did I send you? They have a way of pushing things back to you. But patiently, you need to teach them to own responsibility. Strong-willed children don't like to take responsibility, but you can teach them to take responsibility for their action. But it depends on your patience in training them. So, sis, it's your cross. Be patient.
Buy a humility gown, like we say in our TIP VIP group. And we have an exclusive group. We call it the humility gown. Yes, Etima's told the flowing one and brought to us. All right. So we're going to be taking one last question. We won't be able to take all the questions that are popping. But Auntie Mute, you have a lot of accolades raving all over in the comment section with people saying, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. But this last question says, person wants to throw a light. We have just 1 minute to run because we have another session running in. He said, Ma, when a child does not respond until you use cane, I mean, she's meaning cane, right? How do you nurture such a child?
This cane matter. Don't come up again. When you teach a child to when you teach a child that cane is the only thing that works, the child's brain is programmed to know that until the cane comes, I won't be able to respond. Every child deserves love. Every child needs love. Understand the love language of your child and use it. It's not about the cane. There's something about that child. There's a way. See, you need to be observant. There's a way, there are some things. When you play constantly with your children, there's a way they respond. Find that area of response when you are playing, what makes him happy. Use that to train him. If he likes play, use play to train him and pass your message. But please avoid the cane. Cane hardens a child. We keep flogging a child, that is what he responds to. He responds to aggression. He responds to anything that inflicts pain. When they get married, those are the kind of women that say, he has to slap me to love me. He has to beat me for me to correct. Do not. You are only raising an abusive child. Find that point in the child that makes them happy. Use that happy moment to pass your message. And you will know.
Awesome. Auntie Mute, I feel like coming through the screen and kissing you right now, you know? Thank you so much. It's as if Auntie Mute entered my head. I was bringing out some things. I'm like, yeah, I just want to kiss her now. Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. And we have lots and lots of questions raving in. You can come to our YouTube channel and put in your questions, chatting. Auntie Mute will be able to say it. But of course, this video goes off on the Facebook channel. Immediately we're done with this channel, with this session. We're going straight into the next session. But before then, I want to say,
hold them accountable so they should go get a plant.
Yes, go and get a
plant.
Document the process in the group. You can also share these videos for awareness. You know, on your YouTube channel, you can share for awareness. Let people get to know that what we're sharing. And like I said, I brought Auntie Mute here for free on my honor. So it means that I didn't pay her anything in clear terms. All right. One thing that you can do for this conference for Auntie Mute is to go, first of all, go and kiss her for turning 50, first of all, on her timeline. Go there and go and find her and be kissing her for me. When you're done, put the words that Auntie Mute has put in today and share it. Tag her. Let the world hear these messages. Tag the intentional parent. Tag Auntie Mute is also in the group as well. You can tag her. You can share in the group. You can share on your timeline especially. Tag the intentional parent. Tag Auntie Mute on her words. Can you see the way we've been raving on all the speakers, you know, words and all their quotes? Because we don't take it for granted. We want the world to hear what they've said. We want to print those words on marble and tell the world that these words of wisdom were spoken at TIP Annual Conference 2020. So please go back, go and share everything that you have learned in this session. Thank you so much, Auntie Mute. You are just awesome. And I'm still coming for that cake. I'm gonna have myself in your home for you. Aha! Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I love you all, and I wish you well. And I pray that your seed will grow to greatness and add value to society. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much, Auntie Mute. We're leaving this screen now, and we're joining Chinyerobina right now to talk about sex conversations. What do you know about sex conversations in your home? Let's go there. It's TIP Annual Conference 2020. And we just got done with Auntie Mute sharing on nurturing seeds of greatness. Awesome. Amazing moment. Thank you and do have an amazing evening.